Hello there, welcome to the show. This is the Soni Kanake show, and we are doing relationships, intimacy, and everything in between. Well, today I have a guest again. You guys know him. He was here the last time. Maurice Matheka.
What's up?
What's up? Anytime I think about you, I'm like, whoa, okay.
You know, I love coming for this show.
I know.
Whatever you have to come.
I know. Well, remember to subscribe, like, and share. We're talking about female orgasms and squirting. Something you guys have been asking us, oh, what's up? No, this is what's up. Maurice.
Yes.
Let's talk about the female orgasms and let's talk about squirting.
Okay.
But we will begin with female orgasms first. Maybe you can begin with telling us, what's an orgasm?
What is an orgasm? It is a functionality of the vagina when it's aroused. And it can be aroused by anything. There are women who can mentally arouse themselves and they get to a point where they climax. And that climax is basically a function of the vagina pulsating like that. Like little pulses that some men, especially if you're under some penetrative mode, you can actually feel. Some men can't, most can't feel it. That's why they ask, have you come? So it's just the memory being given a stimulus, like a tickle, what we call the G-spot, which is just basically an influx of tissue that has a lot of nerve endings. And when you stimulate it, at some point, a woman can feel a buildup, and that buildup is the little spasms. And then the orgasm is that trigger. It's like, you know, when you get goose pimples, but now a very explosive one. That's the orgasm.
Whoa.
And unfortunately, 90% of women around the world will never have one.
I have to tell you that actually I was getting there, you went ahead of me.
Yes.
I actually saw the statistics telling us quite a number of women never orgasm.
90%.
90%. That's a really huge
like
percentage.
Never. Like
that is so high,
from
Maurice.
birth to death, never.
Whoa.
So it's 10% that do.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about the 90%.
Yes.
Why don't they ever
Because
get
your
there?
vaginas were not designed to orgasm.
What do you mean?
They're not designed procreationally to orgasm. And that's why I've said procreationally. You need to understand that with human evolution, science has brought in a lot of knowledge. There are things we had no idea about 200 years ago. Now we do. And that's just the way of the modern age and advancements. So once the realm of sexology started studying what the vagina can and cannot do, one of the things that we found is the vagina can have what we call multiple orgasms. But in the romantic version of multiple orgasms is where you and I are making love. I was going to use another word, but I'll go with making love.
Making love.
Yeah, and with the making love comes this amazing climax where we even do it together. That's the romanticized version. Which a lot of people cannot achieve because of the lack of knowledge of, first and foremost, the vagina conditioning. So it can be at par with the penis conditioning. There's also that lovemaking that people talk about. There's always going to be a partner. And when I say a partner, it means a sexual partner, not a ownership partner, who will do something to you that no one else can, or no one else can unless you are inflicted with what I call vagina conditioning. And I say this because some women have had their first orgasm with a guy they dated who they don't date now, and now they're in a marriage, and they've never had an orgasm for 12 years in that marriage. But you see,
and she used to orgasm before?
Yes, but when we say she used to orgasm, she wasn't that sexually active. It's just in that span, whether it was one session or 4 sessions or 5, she knew she must have had an orgasm. Even her, she's not 100% sure, but she knows, because she was younger then, so she still had a lot to learn, but she has an inkling that I had an orgasm when I was at this age dating this guy, But since I met my husband and we courted and now we're married, I've never had an orgasm. Now, a lot of people will ask, what's wrong with the husband? Why isn't he making her? It's not his duty. You need to understand, that her vagina is a vehicle. That other driver that used to be there, he knew how to manage this vehicle.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I can drive a car, but I've never driven a combine harvester. This time, her vagina is that combine harvester. The husband is a tuk-tuk driver. I'm just simplifying this.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not a reflection on the husband, but I'm just saying he is not equipped to be able to give her an orgasm.
Okay.
But as a husband, he's a brilliant guy. He provides and stuff like that. And after all, for a lot of women, sex is not part of your criteria when you're looking for advancements in life and family and stuff like that. That's just fact. But then, within that advancement of life, you know, her vagina will start to talk to her. Like, how come us guys are missing out on all the fun? Why? Because she knows there's something she's missing out. But even those who don't know will always hear from other women or things they read that, you know, when you have an orgasm, you'll have these spinal thrills and your back and your legs, and some women, their toes curl. She's thinking, none of that has happened to me ever. Like, my toes are straight as fuck, so what's happening? So based on that, she'll then inquire, and then she'll find out if she happens to stumble upon somebody like myself, then I'm able to take her through a session where I can teach her about vaginal conditioning. And then suddenly, she gives me feedback later on, maybe a month, or though some clients have given me this feedback within 48 hours. It just depends on how well your conditioning went in regards to, if you take everyone to the gym, after 30 days, there'll be those who are more advanced than others. That's out of my control. You see, like, for example, if we have a session today and you get back to me and say, oh, Matheka, that session we had in September, can you imagine? Because I was so busy. It's just now that I'm having sex. It means everything I taught her and the vaginal exercises that she was supposed to do between now and then, she hasn't done them. Do you see my point? So obviously, she's not going to get as much. She's not going to get a lot of positive feedback from that, compared to that woman who, for the next 4 to 6 weeks, did exactly what I instructed her.
Okay. Yeah. There's something you said about, or you said about the lady having intercourse with the woman, and you said maybe the guy's penis was not conditioned to her vagina. What is that? Well,
it's not. No, what I'm saying is, it's not really about conditioning, but there are men, like, when they have sex with a woman, it's about them. It's about their ejaculation. It's about their end goal. So at no point did he's not keen to read her body language, her breathing. He's keen on his agenda. And his agenda is to climb, pump, and hopefully she comes.
Okay.
So he has his climax and she doesn't. He rolls over, they sleep. But when they're having a chit chat, so how was last night? She's obligated to say, oh, it was good. Why? Because you don't want to mess up the energy. Yet, I may know she's lying because I know she didn't come. I did. But then now this becomes status quo. Because I'm able to say, see, I'm happy. See, you're happy. You're happy because I provide. Regardless of the fact that you work and you make your own money.
Yes.
So now, when you add all those things, they will start to affect the sexuality. So you will never have an orgasm. And that's why you're my client who comes to tell me this story, that I dated a guy who used to give me orgasms, but my husband, in the last 12 years, I've not had an orgasm.
This 90% women.
Yes.
Is there a way they can be helped? And then
No.
I want to know.
No.
And then I wanted, okay, why no?
Some of them are in the mountains of Mongolia. I'm not going to get there.
In fact, no, I'm asking, is it
And their
possible?
priority is not even having an orgasm.
Is it all? So is that part of the problem then?
It's like, let's put it this way. All the guys in the studio, we all come from some rural area. There are women in those rural areas that will never seek me out. Because having an orgasm for them is not a priority. First, the thought of it being a priority is not even there. Like, if I went to some of those clusters, they'd think I'm a devil. Why is he so keen about our vaginas? What is he? You know what I'm saying? It's not something they discuss. They have what I would call procreational sex.
Okay.
And they're happy with that. And we're not the ones to judge them. But my clients are what you'd call the urbanized guy, the guy who likes to have a drink, likes to go partying, likes to dress a certain way, likes to smell a certain way, likes sex served in a certain way, likes to go to Naivasha and Nanyukis and travel around the world. That's my client.
Okay.
The ones who also want to inflict some romance, but the end goal is still sexual. That's my client. Yeah, so I can't encompass all humans to be my client.
Let's talk about...
And that's why that 90% will never have an orgasm. That 10%, the story is still bad. Out of the 10%, only 1% can tell you from the time I started having sex, I'm able to orgasm. The only time if she's not able to orgasm is if me as a man, after she told me I'm not in the mood, forced the agenda.
Oh, okay.
I've not raped her, but I've forced. Now I'm sulking. So what is she doing as a woman? Okay, to get this over with, see, I just need to go and let him do his business. Once he comes, we're done. So it's like a child. The way a child cries for cookies. When you give it, it keeps quiet. So that's what she's done.
Okay.
But if she does that long enough, she starts to hate the sex. So that also becomes my client. Because from that, her urge to be able to have a climax is not there because she's entered into a sexual contract with her partner based on obligation, not based on any sexual drive.
But how do you navigate that, Maurice? Okay, they're in a relationship and
Yes,
all. So
yes.
how do you get out of that rat?
But even prisoners end up released. So when you
No,
say
without
navigate,
the lady getting out of that relationship.
yes. Well, if the partner is willing to acknowledge there is an issue and maybe he is the issue, then couples can go forward. But I've met men who have told me sex is about me, dude.
Whoa.
It's not about her.
Really?
Yes. And it's not my place to tell him how to manage his penis. It's not. So there's very little I can do for that woman because she's the one with the guy, not me. So once we come to that conclusion, now it's up to her to decide how that moves forward. She either stays in status quo. It's like the battered woman, the women who were battered for years. She knows she had plenty of opportunities to leave, but for some reason, she's there. The same happens sexually. So you can't save everyone. You can try.
Well, you can't save everyone.
But once you have the profile and the reality of the profile, then now it's for you to tell the client, this is the scenario in your home. So you choose what you want to do with it.
Okay. Wow. I think since we're talking orgasms, I've heard you say about, you didn't say which kind of orgasm. What kind of orgasms do we have?
Well, there are a lot of sexual writers who say that there are many orgasms. They've got names and stuff like that. Some of them have labels and stuff like that. But what I know, I've been doing this for 20 years. And now I've trained just under 6,000 women. That's 6,000 vaginas. One thing I know is the orgasm comes from a series of events that happen within the vagina. What I can say is the intensity of the orgasm can be classified, but now it can only be classified by the person who's receiving the orgasm. It's like a woman can say, I've slept with 4 guys, but that guy, all of them gave me orgasms, but that guy's orgasms are mind-blowing. And that guy, if you ask him, can you teach other men about mind-blowing orgasms? He'll be like, I don't know what I do. I just do what I normally do. Yet there's another woman who will say, that guy is average.
The same guy.
Yes, he's average. So it's down to when you meet, whether you have sexual chemistry. And sexual chemistry is not about living together or about being together for a long time. Sexual chemistry is, you can have food chemistry. You go and have a meal and you're like, you know what? I'm going to make it a point to come to this restaurant at least once a month or once every quarter because I love this dish. That's chemistry between you and that dish. But now the problem with humans, they want to own the chef who made the meal.
Okay.
And that chef should only make the meal for me. You see how you spoil the broth? That chef's passion is to make people's tongues tantalized. Now you want to tell that chef you can only make one person happy. That's not their passion. Now you see why the chef has erectile dysfunction.
So what are you saying in short?
What I'm saying is, we're not always going to find sexual chemistry in the cocoons that are defined for us.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if I meet you and I tell the world, I'm kind of seeing Soni. What I've told the world is Soni is mine. So I need to treat you well, and you need to treat me well. Yet they don't know that our arrangements, we've just said casual. The world doesn't want to hear casual. But the same world don't mind casual when we're out of town. You see what I'm saying? So the society we always blame are breaking the same rules. It's only we model ourselves depending on who we're with and where we are at. And that's why I always say, if you look at Nairobi, if most Nairobians, if you meet them in their corporate cocoon, they're very boring people. But the same person in Diani, you're like, dude, let's just be meeting in Diani. The Nairobi side of you is hopeless. Why? Because in Diani is where they bring out themselves. In Nairobi, you have to model yourself to what society looks at.
Okay. You mentioned the G-spot at some point.
Yes.
Maybe you can explain to us a little bit more about the G-spot.
It's just a membrane. It's on the upper part of the inner vagina. It's just, depending on the woman's body size, it's either 2 to 3 inches. It's like having a mini football pitch on the upper part of the vagina. And it has all these membranes that you can stimulate, like tickle. Like if you look at the armpit area, like if you tickle me here, I won't feel ticklish. But if you tickle my armpit, I'm the kind of person who gets tickled, the armpit has all these nerve endings that tickle me. Now, imagine the G-spot is a tickling area within the vagina. If you tickle it right, but it has to be conditioned to be able to be tickled. If it's very stiff, then you might as well be tickling my knee. No effect. And that means a guy will be able to pump and pump and pump.
And you feel nothing.
And the woman's thinking like, I don't know what this guy's looking for. Why? Because her vagina is not conditioned. But if it's conditioned, she then feels something because that affliction of the stimulus is causing her G-spot to start to swell. And the vulva has to swell. So even the ideology that the vagina is tight, the only guys who have a problem with vagina tightness are guys with small penises. But that's a story for another day. So the G-spot is just basically a membrane. It's flesh. If you remove the whole sexual thing, it's just flesh. You just need to understand how it works. If you understand how it works, you can train a woman to own that ability. If she owns that ability, she's able to at least orgasm 9 out of 10 out of the times.
Oh.
Yes. Rather than saying it's once and now it's years ago. That's sad.
Oh, okay. So the part of you're telling us about conditioning the vagina also includes conditioning the G-spot as well.
Yes. Look at it this way. Why would it be different that for a woman to have an orgasm, she needs to be in love with a certain guy? Why would it not be the same for men? I'm yet to hear a man tell me, I only ejaculate in one vagina. The other vaginas, they stall my ejaculation. I'm yet to hear that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
Unless he's just got a fetish of not being able to ejaculate. But all men understand that whether the sex is boring, average, amazing, at some point he will ejaculate. There's a man who's going to ejaculate knowing I'm never entering this vagina again. There's a guy ejaculating hoping, I hope I see her next week. 2 guys, they're both ejaculating. But women, because of the love effect, the love bubble, you've been taught to believe that because you're in love, you're going to ejaculate. Which cannot happen because your vagina will never know who you're dating or married to. Never.
No, for a woman, it doesn't follow that way.
Well, if that's how it works, then all my clients would have to be in love with me. Do you know how long that would take? We'll go to a session and just hope we fall in love. Just look at each other. Are you anywhere near falling in love? It doesn't work that way. Yeah, our bodies are basically tissue. If you stimulate that tissue, it's like, it's not the person you love that can make you tickle. It's the person who understands the areas that make you tickle will make you tickle. True or false?
True.
Same applies to the vagina and the penis. But men understand this. So I've never had this is not a debate amongst men. Like, dude, is there a vagina that... All men understand we will ejaculate. It's just there's a vagina you return to and there's one you don't. And it has nothing to do with love. Just the kinkier, the chemistry. And you see, I always tell people, because sometimes women will call me and ask me, there's this guy and I really like him and I think he likes me. How do I get to know the real person? And I usually tell women, if you want to know a real man, what he's made of, it's not the things he tells you before he sleeps with you, it's the things he tells you after. Every man talks a big game when he's conquesting. I am this, I am that. I'll model myself to what you need me to be. But it's after the climax. And that's why you find a man can go after a woman for 18 months, have this romantic night and stuff like that, end up in a bedroom. But the minute he climaxes, he starts thinking of Uber numbers. Because he needs that out.
Because why? Because the end game was what? Just
the end game? No, not just the end game. He's realized the conquest was not worth the effort.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Even his penis sent him a message like, "Where is this that you've brought us? What caves have you? Like, we're not into this, guys. What is this?" You know what I'm saying? And that's just life. It's like the way a guy can be very, and I'm just giving examples that women give me. Women will tell me, like, I met this guy, he's so cute, but he can't kiss. Yeah, that's because his lips are not aware of his cuteness. His face is symmetrical, but his lips don't know how to maneuver.
Wow, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
there's a lot of learning that needs to be done, eh?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's why they say don't judge a book by its cover. The cover can be amazing, but the content is rubbish, or vice versa. You never know. You've got to dabble in everything. If I tell you there's a nice restaurant and they have a nice dish, how will you know how that dish tastes unless you taste it? That's true. Life.
True.
But people mechanically want, no. You must guarantee me that he's this, or you must guarantee me. Nah. There are no guarantees in life. You've got to taste it to know if it's good.
Wow, you're talking about female orgasms and squirting. I'm here with Maurice Matheka telling you as it is as usual. Maurice, how can a woman be more sexually aware of her body? I don't know. Because you keep saying we have to own our orgasms, we have to be in charge of everything.
Yes.
How do we do this?
Okay. If you look at the bigger scope of my clientele, even before we talk about the orgasm, there's one thing I always tell them. You will fail me as a student if you also don't encompass the attitude that comes with the sexuality. Like if a woman, recently there's a woman I had a session with, and her husband told her that her vagina is dysfunctional, it's ugly, and so many other things. He's not the first and he's not the last. But beyond that, the one thing that she holds on is, I'm a Christian. And I'm asking her, but you're a Christian right now talking to Maurice Matheka. Something has to break. So you need to leave your Christianity at the door, so I can teach you how to feel sexier about yourself. Right now, you've told me you don't feel sexy. There's a man at home who's not helping because he's telling you everything that he needs to do to break you for one reason or another. That's a story for another day. So, do you want to be that sexier woman, self-aware, that maybe can turn around his attitude as well, if that's what you want? It's not. I'm not married to the guy, it's you. Once she relinquishes that side of her, she's able to tell me 2, 3, 4 months later, now I understand what you're saying. You're not taking me away from my faith, but there's time for faith. That's why we have it on Sunday. And there's time on Friday to have a glass of wine with my girls. And there's time for me to understand and be friends with my vagina, so that when I indulge her in sexual act, I also enjoy. She gets to understand that. And unless you move somebody from their comfort zone, I'm not helping them. And I don't do failure. That's not what I do. I don't want you to pay me so you fail, because then I've failed. I need you to succeed. But you will not succeed if you're not willing to change your attitude. That's the one thing, at least my clients appreciate about me. The worst thing anybody like me will ever do is play to your tune, knowing that all I want from you is money. You know, once we have a session and you fail, unless you want us to trend, you're not going to go out there and say, by the way, I went for Maurice's thing and it just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And you have every right to say that because I didn't tell you how it works. It comes with an attitude change.
Uh-huh.
You have to be able to feel sexy. I cannot make you feel sexy if you've put the hurdle of church between us. Mm-hmm. That's not going to work for me. Mm-hmm. You want help from me? Mm-hmm. Then I'll tell you how that help can work. Mm-hmm. If that's not possible, then you can seek it with somebody else. But I'm not going to take your money just for the sake of taking money.
Mm-hmm. I like the attitude change part because I think that's the biggest problem we have right now because most people demonize sex. It's not even really the faith. I even think from like our society.
Yes, but
like
our society is based on faith.
When you're talking about sex, like right now,
yes,
everyone is like, okay, what are you guys talking about? You see? But this is something people do.
Yes, all the time.
All the time. And sex anyway is so human to be ignored. But I think that attitude is what needs to be changed so people can enjoy the unions of sex.
Yes. And all of us here in this studio, we're here because somebody released their semen. So clearly this has been going on for a long time.
So actually, yeah, sex is the basis of life. So
some of us were made from mistakes and arguments. I'm going to leave you. Shit, I'm pregnant. You see?
I'm not going nowhere.
Because they had a goodbye sex thing.
Yeah, I think, sex, I think we should stop demonizing sex. That's the worst.
That we should.
I think that's where the problem is.
And once we talk about it, we'll have a connection.
Exactly.
And once we tell, each gender tells their story, we'll understand each other better. The worst thing, Soni, right now, between me as a man and you as a woman, is for me to tailor myself to what Soni wants. It means that any other woman on the side gets to know the real Maurice. But Soni gets to know the Maurice that is, Now that is our failure in society. Because the side chick will know me better than you. I can't be vulnerable. I can't cry. I can't tell you have an issue. I can't tell you have failed, but I can tell her. And she can pat me in the back and tell me, baby, things are going to be better. And I'll show you where. And she's seen my potential and she drives my potential. You and I are pretending that we're good, but we're fearing to open up. Because if we open up, we're being weak. And I'm not supposed to be weak because I'm the man of the house. That's crap.
But okay, wait, Maurice. If you're going to open up to her, why don't you open up to me?
I can't.
What's the problem?
You're going to judge me. It's a perception. It might be wrong, but you're going to judge me. She has no basis to judge me. And if she judges me, I can dump her tomorrow. You can't dump me.
So then how do we change what we have here?
That change comes from where the whole model comes from, which means that every part of our society needs to evolve with our ever-changing minds. The church needs to evolve. Our cultures need to evolve. There are cultures we still hold on to that are rubbish. They're just rubbish. They're just rubbish. As simple as, and I see this with younger guys than me, and I'm like, you guys are so ancient.
Stuff like what?
So, like, for example, let's say we just sat here, and there's salt that I want. Soni, if the salt is where those remotes are, who's nearest to the salt?
You.
But there are men who will tell you,
come and get me the salt.
And who get me the salt. So you have to move from there, get the salt, drop it here and sit down.
And you're right there next to it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
and then the same men are complaining that there's a nigger who is cooking for my woman when he's naked. Yes, because you're just sending her for salt. There's a guy who is showing her how to use the salt when he's naked. And he's cooking for her. And you've never cooked anything for anyone. It's an evolving world. It applies to all of us.
Oh, Maurice.
You have to update yourself with what other men are doing. The same way women have to update. Look at women, like your outfit, your fashions. You see all the fashionistas or whatever they're called. They're, new trends, skirts, what, blah, 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 hair, blah, blah, lipstick. You don't want to be the one wearing lipstick of 1990s. True or false?
True.
Us men, the same thing. But we pretend that we're in this bubble of I'm a man forever. No. Why are these guys popping all these Viagras?
Exactly.
Because we're in a rough state of the society. Everyone's competing with everyone. And And the truth is, there are women who are competing with you, and there are men who are competing with me and other men. It's just the way of the world. You just have to be at the top of your game. If you're not at the top of your game, somebody will tell you, hey, dude, man, you know what? Step aside. And you'll step aside.
You'll have no choice.
Yes. That's just life. Yes.
Whoa,